Hi, I'm Bonnie Kempke. Welcome to my studio and welcome to Quilting on a Thread. So over the past several months, I've noticed people complaining about their extension table on their little Rebel not sitting flat. After you lift it up and then when you lay it back down, it no longer sits flat. You'll notice that mine does. It didn't at first. Now it didn't bother me because I knew that when I put my project on there, the weight of my project would hold the table down. I'm actually surprised that it didn't bother me because I'm very OCD. I want everything perfect. I want everything just right. But there are some things that I will just not fret over, and this was one of those things. What I am fretting over is that there's so many people out there who are upset. So I wanted to find a solution. So because I have two little Rebels, I have two of these extension tables. So I'm going to show you how to fix that annoyance with my second little Rebel extension table. So I brought my second little Rebel extension table out here, and you'll see that that's not sitting flat. So I tried a variety of things without using any tools. No amount of raising and lowering ever loosened that up. So what you're going to need for what I'm going to show you is you're going to need sewing machine oil. Any sewing machine oil will do. I like to apply sewing machine oil always with a brush. So I have a round sable brush, paintbrush. So I keep these stored like this so that they're safe. The other thing you're going to need is a Phillips screwdriver. The other thing that I use, because I apply oil with a brush, is I always have this little plastic container that I can close back up. That's where I put my oil to dispense it from the brush. What I want to do is I want to turn this over, and you'll see even laying flat on a surface, it doesn't completely close up. So I'm going to put the legs down so they're out of the way. What controls the ability for the extension to raise and lower are these two hinges. And where they hinge up and down is at this bend. So with that being the case, I don't want to do anything on this side. That won't help me. What I do has to be done on this side. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen these 4 screws on the machine side of the extension table, not the screws on the extension side, but on the machine side. So the ones that are near your void here. So there's the 4 screws. I'm going to move them out of the way along with the screwdriver because I don't need those for a moment. So these are now loose, but it doesn't come apart easily. And there's a reason why it doesn't come apart easily. It kind of fingers together. So we're going to go ahead and grab a hold of that, open it up like a teepee, and then it lifts out. Just like that. Now, turn it over this way. Let's move this one out of the way for a moment. I'll just sit it here. Because we're going to attend to these. So I'll bring my oil over, and I bring my brush over, and I bring some tissue to catch any excess. So I'm going to dip that in the oil, and I don't really want a lot of oil, so I'll wipe it off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and dab a little bit of oil on the metal rod that it doesn't protrude, it's flush. I'm just going to dab some oil on there just to give it an opportunity to sink in. And then I'm going to take the oil again. And now that I have it off, I can see very, very minutely, I can see voids in there. So I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to brush oil into that void. And because I'm using this nice sable brush, it lets me go ahead and deposit some oil inside there. And I can work the bristles in a little bit. Now I don't want a lot of that oil sitting on that plastic, so I just take the tissue and dab the oil off. This is a very, very tight clip, so I can't manipulate it by hand. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. I'm going to do the same thing, just dabbing some oil into that void. Wiping the excess off. I'm going to let this sit for a few minutes because I want to make sure that the oil actually seeps in. And it doesn't take long for me to let some of that oil seep in. So I'm going to go ahead and this time I'm going to concentrate very much on pushing oil in. The first time I wanted it to seep. Now I want to push that oil into the crevice. So I literally feather the bristles in. And then, of course, wipe the surface. And do that on the other side. So after I've let this sit for a few moments, I'm going to go in one more time and wipe the oil. Now I'm going to bring the other part of the table back up. This is where it gets a little tricky because I have to put this back together. But you see how these parts obviously have to go in together. They have to wiggle in together. So remember how we took it apart? Well, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put it together like a teepee. And we're going to work with it until we can get it to set flat. And I will tell you that it can take a little bit of machining, a little bit of working around because there's these clips. But once it's clipped in place, you'll be able to see the spot where the screws need to go back in. So let's bring the screws over and let's start putting those back in. Now, if we turn this over, you'll see that that sticks up. So what that's going to do is that's going to give us a rocking situation. And I want that rocking situation for a few minutes because I'm going to work that oil in. And I can already tell you, now it will go ahead and lie flat. Yes, it makes some noise. That's because it's not riding on its legs. So now we're going to lift the legs up. And I just use a little screwdriver so I can get in there because I can't get in without breaking fingernails. Look at that, it's flat. Five minutes of work, and that's all you need to do, and your table will sit flat. I hope that helps you out, and I'm going to be looking for new things to show you. Join me as I proceed down the line of my Getting to Know Your Little Rebel series of videos, and let's see you again here on Quilting on a Thread.